Okay, so you probably spend a lot of time thinking about technical skills, right? The software, the certificates, all that operational know-how. It's the standard playbook for career growth. But there's this other side, isn't there? A huge bottleneck many professionals hit. And it's not about coding or running machinery. It's about leading, negotiating, communicating effectively. The human stuff. Today we're doing a deep dive into some source material, specifically big announcement from EON Reality. They're expanding their XR library premium. And what's really interesting is it's not about more tech skills. It's an expanded collection focused entirely on essential soft skills and professional development. So our mission today is really unpack why. Why this shift? Why are these so-called soft skills suddenly, well, the number one gap? And maybe more importantly, how extended reality XR combined with AI is changing how we practice these very human abilities, making them measurable.
Yeah, it's a fascinating convergence, really. Technology meeting a very pressing need. EON Reality, they're already, a big name in AI-powered AR and VR for knowledge transfer. So they're bringing that whole tech stack, the immersive environments, the AI feedback to bear on these fundamental human skills. They clearly see that just being technically brilliant well, it's not enough anymore. Real success happens where tech capability meets human leadership.
Okay, let's dig into that problem first then. Why the intense focus now? The sources really frame this as the defining gap in today's workforce.
Well, I think it boils down to a couple of things. Economics, for one, and automation. Technical skills are obviously crucial, but they're getting more standardized. Easier to train for, maybe with an online course or a
Ah,
specific cert. But those human skills, inspiring a team, resolving conflict, navigating a tricky negotiation, much harder to replicate, harder to master, and definitely harder to scale training for across a whole company.
and the data points defining this gap are just, well, they're pretty stark. Employers consistently say soft skills are the number one gap. They literally can't find people who are ready.
Exactly. And the specific numbers, they really highlight a failure in maybe corporate planning. The sources point out that 77% of companies report a lack of leadership talent in their pipeline.
77%. Wow.
Yeah, think about that. Three-quarters of organizations admit they aren't grooming their future leaders effectively. And then on the individual level, effective communication is cited again and again as the top predictor of career success across basically all industries. If you can't communicate well, you're putting a ceiling on your own growth. It's fundamental.
And that connects directly to how we work now, right?
Yeah.
The source material notes 70% of organizations are running hybrid or even fully global teams.
Absolutely. That changes everything. Suddenly, every interaction, every email, video call, project update, it gets complicated. Distance, different cultures, just coordinating. It's tough.
So collaboration, cultural fluency, these aren't nice to haves anymore.
Not at all. They're baseline requirements for just getting the job done day to day. And the sources are clear. If you can combine technical skill with that human fluency, talking to clients, inspiring your team, your earning potential, it jumps significantly. Mastering that human side isn't optional anymore. It's basically the ticket to promotion, especially into management or executive roles where your job is managing people, not just tasks.
Okay, so that establishes a really critical gap, high stakes. So what's the solution being proposed here? How does this EON Reality XR Library Premium actually tackle this, move beyond just talking about the problem?
Right, this is where it gets practical. It's about shifting soft skills training from, passively reading a handbook on conflict management,
Which never really works, does it?
rarely, to actually putting you in the situation. Immersive, active, repeatable practice. That's the key. This new collection focuses on 5 really high impact areas, giving you practice in scenarios that are normally, well, too risky or just too rare to practice effectively in the real world.
Okay, let's walk through a couple. What about leadership and management excellence? That's tackling that 77% talent gap directly.
Exactly. This track aims to get professionals comfortable with those high stakes, maybe slightly uncomfortable interactions. So, for example, one simulation puts you right in the manager's chair for a difficult performance review.
Oh, everyone loves those.
Right. And you have to balance empathy, really hearing the employee out with holding them accountable, setting clear expectations. These are the conversations people avoid or mess up. The XR lets you try it, fail safely, get feedback, and try again 20 times until you nail the tone and the approach.
Okay, that makes sense. And the second one, communication and presentation mastery. That feels like a natural fit for XR and AI feedback. How does that work? Simulating a boardroom pitch.
Precisely. The user finds themselves practicing pitching an idea, maybe to a virtual board of directors or investors, and you're facing these virtual avatars, right? And they give off nonverbal cues. Maybe they look bored or confused or start glancing at their phones.
Just like real life then.
Pretty much. And you have to react, adjust your pitch in real time. Then the AI kicks in immediately afterwards. It gives you instant data-driven feedback on things like your tone, vocal clarity, maybe even your perceived confidence levels based on your delivery.
That immediate objective feedback sounds crucial. Okay, third area, sales and customer relationship management. That obviously hits the bottom line.
Directly. So a simulation here might have you rehearsing a client negotiation virtually. The system can throw in specific objections, maybe some curveballs, forcing you to practice consultative selling, building trust, even under pressure. You get to rehearse handling those tricky objections, closing the deal, all in a pretty lifelike setting, but without, jeopardizing a real multi-million-dollar contract. It builds that muscle memory.
Muscle memory for sales tactics. Interesting. Okay, two more. Project management and team collaboration. How do you simulate teamwork?
This one often involves putting multiple users or maybe a user interacting with AI team members inside a virtual war room environment. You have to collaborate on planning, aligning on timelines, figuring out dependencies, maybe even resolving simulated conflicts between team members. It's about practicing the coordination aspect.
Got it. And the last one, cross-cultural communication in global business, speaks right back to that 70% stat about global teams.
Yeah, and this is where XR simulations can really shine because it's hard for human trainers to consistently role-play dozens of different cultural nuances, right?
Yeah.
So learners might engage in a simulated negotiation, but maybe the counterpart is from a culture with very different communication norms or expectations around hierarchy.
So you experience those differences firsthand.
Exactly. You have to adapt your strategy on the fly, maybe pick up on subtle cues you'd otherwise miss, and avoid accidentally causing offense or derailing the deal because you weren't aware of, say, local business etiquette.
This really leads us into the most critical part, I think, the how. We keep saying this XR approach is fundamentally different, but how? How does a machine, an AI, actually quantify something as human as empathy or confidence? This is the key insight, isn't it?
It really is the core of the transformation. It's a massive leap from traditional methods. Remember, old school soft skills training often failed because the feedback was just too subjective. It depended on the instructor's mood that day, or maybe it varied wildly from one workshop location to another. Inconsistent.
Right. So what's different now?
The XR system, coupled with AI, tracks specific measurable inputs, things we couldn't really quantify before. So for communication, the AI isn't just listening to what you say, like a transcript. It's analyzing how you say it. It uses vocal analysis, looking at your pitch, your pacing, volume, even the length of your pauses to actually quantify things like confidence or clarity or tone.
Okay, vocal metrics I can sort of grasp. But what about something even more subtle, like empathy?
Yeah.
Or nervousness during that virtual performance review? How does AI read that?
It translates observable behaviors into data points. So for nervousness, the system might track your eye contact with the virtual person. Are you looking away, down, fidgeting maybe? Even response timing.
Response timing.
Yeah, if you hesitate too long before answering a tough question or maybe rush through an explanation, the AI flags that. It relates it back to confidence or clarity metrics. For empathy, it's more complex. It analyzes your word choices in response to what the virtual person says, the context, and again, that vocal tone when you're acknowledging their challenge or viewpoint. It's building this profile based on analyzing probably thousands and thousands of simulated interactions, successful ones and unsuccessful ones, to give objective, data-backed scores, where before we just had, well, a gut feeling.
And that objectivity creates consistency, which is huge for global companies.
Yeah.
The AI gives the same measurement of, say, leadership communication, whether you're practicing in London or Tokyo.
Precisely. You remove the human bias and subjectivity inherent in traditional evaluation.
Which must make the training much more scalable and reliable.
Definitely. And it brings us to another huge advantage, the risk-free practice environment. This is crucial for accelerating learning. Think about those really high-stakes moments managing a crisis that make or break negotiation. They just don't happen often in real life. Your first time might be the only time.
Right, you don't get do-overs.
Exactly. Before XR, you got maybe one shot, and the learning was often painful if it went wrong. With these simulations, you can run that negotiation scenario, get immediate AI feedback, see where you faltered.
And then run it again straight away.
Immediately. Tweak your approach based on the data. Okay, my confidence score dropped here. Let me try this phrasing. And practice until you consistently hit the target metrics. You're building that muscle memory for complex cognitive and emotional responses, but without the real-world stress or career risk.
And the feedback isn't just a vague good job or needs work. It's specific, personalized coaching.
That's the idea. It's not just a grade, it's pinpointing why you got that grade. Like
Yeah.
your nonverbal cues indicated hesitation during the objection phase, lowering your confidence score by 15 points. Here's the moment it happened. That specificity accelerates growth much faster.
And because, as you mentioned, these modules are designed around multinational corporate practices, the skills you practice are directly applicable globally.
Yes, the relevance is built in. So integrating this kind of essential professional development right into their main XR training library makes a powerful statement. Soft skills aren't just a fluffy add-on anymore. They're being treated as necessary, measurable, and frankly, trainable competencies, just like technical skills, critical for success anywhere in the world.
So pulling this all together, what does this really mean for you, the listener, trying to navigate your career today?
Well, I think it reinforces that core message from the source material. You can have the most advanced technology in the world, sophisticated AI, automated systems, whatever, but its effectiveness ultimately depends on the people. The people who lead the teams using it, who communicate the vision, who collaborate to solve problems with it. This kind of training is about making sure professionals master both halves of that equation, the tech and the human interaction.
Okay, so here's the key takeaway, the knowledge nugget we want you to leave with from this deep dive. Extended reality and AI are fundamentally changing the game for soft skills. They're taking these abilities that used to feel vague and unquantifiable things like negotiation poise, leadership empathy, cross-cultural sensitivity, and turning them into measurable, practice-based, and ultimately improvable competencies. It pulls soft skills out of the realm of just, good to have, and puts them squarely into the essential quantifiable toolkit for career advancement. And building on that, here's a final provocative thought for you to chew on. If AI can now analyze our tone, our eye contact, our response timing in a virtual world to give us objective feedback on qualities like empathy or accountability, how might that capability eventually shift our understanding of which human skills truly remain unique? Which ones are fundamentally unsimulatable and perhaps irreplaceable, even by the most advanced AI in the real world? Something to think about until our next deep dive.